Hi, in this lesson we are going to look at do while loop. It has a slight variation from the while loop, but it behaves exactly like while loop except that while loop may be executed 0 or more times, meaning because we are checking the condition at the beginning, if the condition is false for the first time itself, then the while loop will never get executed, not even once. But that is not the case with do while loop. In case of do while loop, we want to execute our task at least once. Then at the end we will check whether we want to execute for the next time or not. So that is the main difference between while and do while. In a simple statement, while executes either 0 or 1 time, not 0 or 1 time, 0 or more times. Do while will execute 1 or more times. So do while will execute always at least once, maybe more than once, but at least once it will execute, because we are checking the while condition at the end, not at the beginning. Okay, let's look at a simple example. We are continuing with our ATM transaction example. Here we are asking user to enter the PIN, and we read the PIN and say the authentication is successful. So we will ask user enter the amount, we'll read the amount, then we make the transaction and we say transaction is successful. This particular task we have to do at least once, right? The moment user has inserted his ATM pin and entered pin number, that means he is willing to make a transaction. So we don't need to ask him again, are you willing to make a transaction? That is not the case. He already given his consent that he want to make a transaction. So we have to execute this step at least once. We have to make a transaction. So we make the transaction. At the end, we will give user a chance. We will ask him, do you want to make another transaction? So if he says yes, we will repeat the steps. I mean, we don't repeat our authentication step because he is already authenticated. We will ask him for the amount, and whatever amount he enters, we will make the transaction for that amount. Maybe third time we may ask him whether he wants to make another transaction or not, but that is a different case. But what we are doing here, we are making a transaction, right? This transaction we have to make it again if the user is willing to make another transaction. So this is the task and we want to do it at least once. After that, while this condition is satisfied, we will repeat this one. I am repeating this one. Okay, this is the task. Task is nothing but reading the amount and making the transaction. We want to do this task at least once. So we do the task. At the end, we check whether we have to do it for the next time or not. So generally in a do while loop, at the end, there is going to be some statements or some conditions that are going to decide whether next execution is going to be happening or not. So in this case, if you see here, we are reading a input from the console, and if it is 1, then only we are making the next iteration. Okay, so let's execute this one and see how it executes. Okay, what is the pin number? 4. What is the amount? $35. Okay, so transaction is successful. So at the end of the first transaction, for the first time, we are asking user, do you want to make another transaction? If he says yes by entering 1, in this case, we'll again ask for the amount 34. We will make the transaction. If transaction is successful, at the end we will ask him again, do you want to make another transaction? As long as he says yes, we are going to repeat this task. Say he says no, the loop should terminate and we are not going to execute the task again. That is the do while loop. It's exactly like while, but the only thing is it executes, or it will do the task at least once, and it will check for the while condition at the end. Okay, there is one more slight difference with respect to syntax. If you see while true, you execute a block, right? Here we can say that this while instead of at the beginning it is at the end, and we included do is also a keyword to make sure this block is executed at least once. But the thing is, here we will end up with a semicolon. Okay, we don't see a semicolon at the end of the block, because we know, right, this is this is the block starting, block ending. Here also we know that block starting and block ending, but because this while belongs to this particular block, syntax for syntax reasons we have to include a colon here, semicolon. Okay, that is the only difference. First time coders, they will forget to include a syntax here, but anyhow, when it is missing, the compiler will immediately tell you that a semicolon is expected. That is okay. So that is one difference syntax wise. Another difference, as we have said many times, do will execute the task at least once, and it will check for the while condition at the end. Okay, that is all about do while. In the next lesson we are going to look at for loop. Thanks. Please subscribe and share it with others.